So, after that really poor debate performance last week, a lot of people have been having conversations regarding replacing Joe Biden as the Democratic nominee for president. And there's a lot of sound reasons for this. I mean, a lot of people now question if he has the capacity to even last as president. Something that, yeah, I mean, it's pretty valid to think of if you're someone who would rather a Democrat win, especially. Um, but yeah, like it's definitely on the top of your mind. And I have to admit, this is honestly a much easier said than done thing. And a lot of people either don't seem to realize how complicated it is or they don't want to, face how complicated this process would be. I mean, the first and most obvious standpoint is, well, Biden has kind of already won the 2024 Democratic primary, being the incumbent president. I mean, he was basically unopposed, and he got almost 15 million votes in the primary. Of course, again, uncontested, it was Democrats, but again, according to the rules of the convention, the delegates that he earned, that he secured for the nomination, have to vote for him. If he didn't get a majority of the delegates, then okay, it would go to a second ballot, and then maybe there could be conversations about like another candidate. But he clearly got most of the delegates. So the only way he wouldn't be the nominee right now is if he personally chose not to run anymore. Like if he dropped out of the race. That's the only way he wouldn't be the nominee at this point because he already has the delegates to be formally nominated at the convention. And even if he does do this, this would lead to a second problem, which is who replaces him. And, the obvious answer should be Kamala Harris because she's the vice president. But there's an issue with that. She's not that popular. In fact, less popular than Biden, who is already not popular. And she's also losing to Trump in the polls, so there wouldn't really be a gain by switching him out for Harris. The potential favorite for Democrats would be Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, who many thought if Biden didn't run this time, Newsom would run, and who many expect to be the nominee in 2028, or at least a very strong contender in the 2028 presidential election. But here's another problem that comes out of making it him and not Kamala Harris. The Democratic Party is super into identity politics. Something that should be pretty obvious in this, like at this moment, based on their history the last like 20 years. And Kamala Harris made history by becoming both the first woman vice president and the first black vice president. What are many Democratic voters and what are many in the establishment going to feel like when she's passed over for a white guy? Now, again, you may think that doesn't matter too much. I agree. For most people, that doesn't matter. But for a lot of the Democratic Party's coalition, that very much would matter. And having to grapple with mending that could be worse than grappling with Biden's cognitive decline. But what makes this really complex for Democrats, and what kind of outshines the other two reasons I just mentioned, replacing the incumbent president at the party's convention, that's not really a thing that happens and for a good reason. Like there's a reason the incumbent, like being the incumbent president, is a bonus in a re-election year, mainly because the party already knows who their nominee is 4 years in advance and has coalesced and united around them. There's pre-built infrastructure around the president because everyone knows they're running for a second term. It makes it much easier to unite against an opposing party that is going to have less time to do the exact same thing. That's why it's kind of hard for an incumbent president to lose a lot of the time because of that pre-built advantage. And to to just orchestrate this, 2000, 2008, and 2016, one thing that they all share in common, the incumbent president wasn't running. And guess what happened? The party lost that election. And by the way, if the Democrats were to swap out Biden, this would not be the first time this happened. The last time that this happened, was 1968. It actually also happened to be in the same city that they're having their convention this year, Chicago. And when Democrats didn't have the incumbent president running for re-election, guess what happened? They lost. They lost that election. And like this is a harder moment for Democrats because Republicans have had their candidate for 4 years now, even without the incumbency advantage. Republicans know who their guy is. It's Trump. Democrats could lose that unity in August, and if they do, they basically just lost that entire strength. It would undoubtedly make things better for Trump and Republicans. Like, if you're a Democrat, I'm sorry, but you're kind of too late to replace Biden in a way where it wouldn't have presented these issues. Like, maybe there's a stronger Democrat out there somewhere, but at the moment, the incumbent president is probably your best bet, and doing anything to change that is a giant risk with potential unforeseen consequences you'd have to deal with. And the convention is being held in late August. You would have less than 3 months to go until election day. There's not a lot of time at that point to mend a coalition that you just broke by getting rid of the incumbent president. So, yeah, that's basically the video.